All right, here we go, Tim. We are getting almost to the end of the MRO flow. We got two more things, two more topics to talk about, but this one is like my accounting heart is you're gonna hear me bleed about
Oh
finances and
man.
accounting here, and
Well, same from our operational
when
side, baby.
generally accepted accounting principles gap, we need to recognize
Ooh.
cost when incurred, right? That's part of it.
Mind
And
the
this
gap.
is one of the huge benefits. Yeah, that's right. You say it with me. One, two, three, gap. Felt good, didn't
Mind
it?
the
Say it,
gap.
Tim. I want to hear you say it.
Well, you've heard that the English person when you're getting on the
Yeah,
trains. Mind the gap. So there you
yeah.
go.
And I'm like, what is he talking about, man?
What?
Uh, no,
What the hell?
and this is really, really important, right? Like if we're trying,
Hmm.
I've seen companies try to get their cost right, right? And they're looking back and they're trending data and they're putting accruals in. It's just maddening because
Yep.
here we are planning and scheduling and doing what we're supposed to do, and we're recognizing cost when incurred by issuing parts to the work order. So I'm going to
Yep.
it's just so important. Um, I'm going to pull this MRO flow back up for us,
Okay.
and let's see if I can get it here. There we go. I'll pull that back up and get that going. And remember, we're right here on the issuing part. So listen, if you guys want to get out of the accounting rat race and you want to get out of that chasing and trying to
Yep.
trend your spend, this is the key, right? We're going to issue the parts to the work order when we use them, right?
Yep.
We're going to recognize that expense on that work order when we do the work. And it is so
Yeah.
important that we think through that, because a lot of times, especially back to talking about that free tech stuff again, a lot of times, if we
I
don't
will talk
have the
about that.
ability to put these things in a warehouse and hold them until we need them, until we can kit them for the work and issue them out, a lot of
Yep.
times
Spot
we
on.
recognize expenses on jobs months, even years ahead of time, because
Yep.
we don't
Exactly.
follow this process. So, Tim,
Spot on.
from my standpoint on the finance side, this is so important that we issue parts when we use them, not when we receive them. Think through that.
Oh, and
Not when we
this comes
receive
right
them,
back.
when we
Yeah.
use them. Yeah,
Exactly. And this comes back to free text. Free text receiving and issuing is at the
absolutely.
same step because they can't go into inventory. So that's why these fundamental
That's right.
pieces, receiving, which we did a couple podcasts ago, and issuing, there are fundamental material management steps. Okay, you receive it, now it's visible. It's in my inventory. It's on my balance sheet. The working capital is on the balance sheet. Next is issuing it, and like you say,
That's right.
Justin,
Good job, Tim.
when you're going to do it. And ideally, the week, a lot of times it's the revisions on work orders. You're going to issue it
Yeah,
the week I'm going to do the work. So you're realizing that cost then. And a lot of smart maintenance manager realizing over time that if they didn't catalog, they see the benefit of cataloging because materials are the work order triggers the purchase of the goods. The goods arrive, they sit in the warehouse on the balance sheet, don't get issued to the work order until they do the work. And that's a really important piece
that's
from
right.
a cost perspective for a maintenance manager and his budget because he only wants to experience the cost when he hits when they consume those parts physically into the plant, and then they get a better idea for budgeting and forecasting next year. But this issuing
Well, and think about that. You
critical.
spend all that time. Yeah, you spend all that time, right, Tim, at the end of the year forecasting
Yep.
your spend, and you have all this weird stuff hitting your budget because you had to buy stuff with a super long lead time, or
Yep.
you bought parts for work and you pushed the work order out 3 months to
Yep.
go along with a turnaround or something, right? And it's like
Yep.
it takes a team of analysts to figure out what the heck all these charges are and why things
Yeah.
aren't flowing in the months we thought they were going to flow. This is it. This is how
Yep.
we do it.
Well, and Justin, you bring up a really good point there. When you do free text or you're issuing to work orders well in advance, you move that job. high probability those materials are going to be lost, or a good portion of them are going to get lost or used on a different job. So what does maintenance do?
Yeah,
Shit, we got to
man.
reschedule and reorder a lot of those parts, and so this is where maintenance guys get really frustrated when we say, dude, if you guys can move your work orders all you want, leave the materials in the warehouse. You move your reservation, I don't care. My job is to pick to the reservation date. When you create that reservation, if you move
That's
it,
it.
that's no, I don't care. It just sits in my warehouse a bit longer. I don't, it's no big deal. It's visible. It's available. We just move it. But when it's free text, yep,
And
good
if
luck,
something
man. I
pops
gave that
up,
thing
you can
three
have
weeks
it, and
ago.
we're good to go. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's
So
exactly
issues,
right.
I
And
think
that's a
they're
really,
misunderstood.
yep. Go.
So I was going to say that's a really misunderstood step within the materials management, being a critical piece, receiving and issuing. Critical because these are now on the balance sheet, and the warehouse's job is to make sure they're accurate. So we'll talk about stock takes in another one, because that's, the warehouse is about control of parts. You don't have people wandering around your warehouse, ideally, because then you're not going to have accurate parts, and then issuing and receiving becomes another problem. But this issuing is fundamental. Do you issuing well, correctly, accurately, timely, and maintenance have to understand it. They want to know when I'm issuing. Like for example, in mining here in Australia, there's a shift change is a lot of times is on a Wednesday. So they work Wednesday to Wednesday on a FIFO, 7 on,
Yep.
7 off. So what the warehouse will do,
Yep.
they'll issue on the Wednesday for the next week. Okay, for the next 7 days. So that
Yep.
team coming in has all the parts that they need, and they've only issued the work orders that have all the parts. Because ideally, the inventory planner has shifted jobs farther out because the parts aren't available. So that becomes a really
That's
nice
it, man.
cadence, and the maintenance understand it. So, oof, another important one.
And that's a perfect that's a perfect segue into our last step of the MRO flow, returning parts, and we'll get into that. But
Oh man,
that
yes, we
is
will.
when you start combining these steps together, guys. Like it's phenomenal, just how
Yep.
agile you become on your supply chain and
Oh
your
man.
maintenance teams,
Yep.
and just more
Visibility,
to come. I can't wait to
availability,
talk about it. So
the
appreciate.
flow, baby. It's the
That's it.
flow.
That's it, the MRO flow. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Yep.
And thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. See ya.